Sono Mattia Mor, questo è 10 Minutes to Inspire. Hi Navin, good morning.
Good morning, Mattia.
Really happy to have you here. Me and you, we just met, a few months ago in Helsinki in a different setup, and now really happy to have you here in Milan, taking your experience to us and coming here to inspire people. So really, really happy for that, and thank you for being with us. In this podcast that is called 10 Minutes to Inspire, we would love to go through some easy questions, to have a chat, and then to know more about what you do and how we can, inspire people through your experience. And so today, who you are now?
I'll define myself by the activity as I do, since, we're not the activities that we do, we're more than that. But in terms of how I spend my time, historically, I've been an angel investor primarily in technology companies. And I still sit on one technology board, a company called Skykick, based out of Seattle, started over 10 years ago and now has 30,000 B2B customers in over 100 countries. So we're a cloud management platform that focuses on data security. So I've been proud to be the lead investor there. And in our last round, we had Morgan Stanley come in. Nice journey. I also sit on the board of the #1 national security think tank in Washington, D.C. called CSIS. That's been around for over 50 years. But how I spend most of my time today is helping founders, CEOs, and partners at major investment firms on their mindset. Because you find that as people achieve and achieve and achieve, they don't take the time to actually make sure that they're content or happy with all their achievements. So they tend to try to achieve more to fill those emotional needs, but you can actually just work on the emotions themselves. And that's a much more direct route to get people to feel however they want to feel.
That's good. Many people need something where you're doing so much. I will ask you later to tell me more about, the different things you organize, but tell me one experience or one venture that defines you most. What would you choose?
Well, Skykick's definitely been something I've been doing for over 10 years. So I would say that's definitely one of them. And today, like I said, I focus a lot on the mentorship and coaching aspect. So I've spoken at places like Google, Microsoft, and events for Facebook and Wall Street banks. So big firms and small firms in terms of helping not only small founders with entrepreneurship and things like that are very important in building companies like fundraising, innovation, et cetera, but also helping more folks that are more developed, people that are running large tech companies or private equity-backed companies and helping them achieve the most performance that they can given their hectic schedules.
The payoff of Tech.Emotion is great stories to inspire, to educate, and to entertain. So we strongly believe in the power of inspiration. So who or what have inspired you most?
So for me, it would probably be my dad, because when my dad was trying to leave India in the late 60s, he was an engineer, he got a job at a manufacturing company, and that was great in those days, but he never wanted to work for someone else. He always wanted to start his own company, but not being from a wealthy background, that was very hard. So one day he's walking around the factory floor of the place he's working at, and he sees this big machine that's not doing anything. And he happened to notice that it had an address on it from a place he didn't know called Denmark. But because he was so focused on leaving India, he decided to write the company a letter. And he basically said, your machine's broken, teach me how to use it. And he sent the letter off, but he didn't expect them to reply. But about a month later, he gets a note in the mail that says, we'll train you how to use the machine. We'll even pay you a little bit of money while you're here, but we won't pay for your plane ticket. And since my dad had no money at the time, he couldn't go. But because he's so focused, he decided to sell his bike, which is all he had, which is so critical in those countries in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
You have to have a bike, otherwise
of course,
literally can't get anywhere. And then he borrowed money from a family friend, and then he liquidated his dad's entire life savings just to buy this one-way ticket to Denmark. But the crazier thing is that he didn't even have a job in Denmark. He had a 90-day work permit. So after 90 days, he's deported back to India with no job, no life savings, and no motorcycle. Obviously, since we're here, the story ends well. He basically worked in Denmark, had them give him a full-time job, worked in Germany, worked in Canada, and then worked in the US, and then saved enough money over all those years to start his first business in the US.
Right.
So that's the story of my dad. So I didn't start as an entrepreneur. I started more in the Wall Street vein, maybe because I didn't want to take so much risk. It turns out I came back to
exactly.
some serious entrepreneurship over time.
Yeah, exactly. You studied a different way around there. So great stories. I can imagine how much this could have inspired you. Having your dad doing that. We talk a lot about innovation, and you, as an investor in tech, of course, you see many innovation around. So, but if there is an image that comes to you in mind regarding innovation, what would you say?
The summit has been great. But
Thank you.
When you go to different things like TED or different conferences, you always see everyone talking so inspirationally about innovation, as if innovation is going to solve all the problems in the world. But the reality is that people solve problems.
Yeah, of course. Completely understand it.
And so I'll just take a different tack and just say one of the things when I think of innovation are these, I believe it's Boston Dynamics, these robots that are dancing, which I think is totally ridiculous because they're obviously going to be used to kill people.
Yeah.
But they're marketed as if they're some fun dancing robots. I can't imagine the amount of engineering hours it took to make them dance like that, which just to me means they're spending a lot of time and effort trying to make these robots cute and fun and stuff like that. It's a lot of money to make a robot dance, but that's to distract people from the real purpose, which is obviously going to be used for military purposes. So I think there's a dark side to innovation, but it's our darkness. It's human darkness. So as long as we keep wanting to, fight each other and just try to aggregate resources for ourselves, and we use technology to do that, that's what tech will be used for, and that's what innovation will be used for. If we want to use it for something that's more purposeful, then we will.
If you talk about one person, or who is the most innovative person you have in your sector, from your point of view?
That's a good question. I mean, there's so many innovative people. The person that comes to mind is actually ChatGPT.
Yeah,
because that's really taken it to the next level of making AI mainstream. And you've seen the power of just the fact that anyone can use that in some very practical purposes, anyone from a high-level journalist to a student to a business person to anyone. So I think certainly everyone's talking about it. So in some ways, that's an easy answer. And I guess if you think about where we are in the cycle, the most innovative person should probably be an AI at this point. So it makes a lot of sense.
Of course. I mean, and then we go to one of the last questions. We decided to call the summit we're organizing "The Rise of Multiple Intelligences" because, I mean, this is a moment where the last few months AI did an incredible jump in development, and everyone is talking about now, and now it's becoming mass market. But we think, and I'm sure that knowing your story, you can have some things in mind like that. Artificial intelligence and any technical intelligence without emotional intelligence or, creative intelligence is nothing. It's not important as it should be. So we strongly believe as a Tech.Emotion in the power of multiple intelligences. What do you think about it?
Well, I think what you're doing is so important because I think we've only focused on one type of intelligence, which is the logical intelligence. And the ultimate manifestation of that is artificial intelligence, right? We're just trying to compute faster and faster and better and incorporate more information in our decision making and be able to instantaneously analyze multiple scenarios across, all sorts of different vectors. So AI is the manifestation of that, but we need to focus more, like you said, on the other set of human intelligences, which is the emotional intelligence, which is empathy, compassion, which are something that people give a lot of lip service to. But then when you think about the amount of conflict in the world, it makes very logical sense to give more attention and investment in those areas. Because again, human beings are the ones that are creating the technology, right? Technology is just the gun and the human needs to point it.
Yeah.
So you really have to work on the person that's pointing and pulling the trigger. The gun's already there. So you got to work on the mindset and the frame of mind of the person who actually carries a weapon, which are the human beings.
Coming to the mindset, and we go to the last question, is what you are doing in your mindset retreat. So you are someone that works a lot with mindset, and we know that you organize super cool retreats, so, to inspire people to, to teach people about that. Would you love to explain to us how it works and how we do that?
Sure. Well, I don't want anyone to think that I somehow think I'm more emotionally advanced than anyone else, because I got here because I was acquiring assets and I was a partner in an investment firm by the age of 30 or 31, sitting on 4 or 5 corporate boards, some of them over $1 billion. And I was able to retire at 33 through a whole crazy story, and then had a startup journey, which we sold that company in 3 or 4 years. That did very well. So I was doing the same thing as most of the folks I coach are doing. But then I realized that wasn't going to solve any emotional problems or make me any happier by keeping doing that. So what I do now is I focus on elite investors, founders of hedge funds, private equity firms, unicorn tech founders, even some Olympic athletes and very high-level political people have been to my mindset retreats. I just try to increase their level of self-awareness, because for a bad example, these are the folks that are pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
These folks that are making the decision. Yeah. They're writing policy. They're investing billions, tens of billions of dollars. They're the ones that are really moving the needle with massive leverage. So my view is if I can help them be a little more self-aware and think about their circle of influence beyond their own interests and into a sense that they're trying to do more for the community, that's just better for everyone.
I thank you for that, because I mean, I completely understand what you're doing. I think it's so precious. People need more consciousness. People need to be more aware about everything. What you are doing, the key decision maker, I think is really helpful for the whole society. So thank you so much, Navin.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today in 10 Minutes to Inspire, a podcast by Tech.Emotion. Thank you.
Thanks so much.